Alright, so today we're going to review this amazing Spider-Man DVD. Yes, and this is from the Zeus interactive DVD system. Now, I don't even have the remote for this, so I don't even know if we're going to be able to play this. But it's fully bilingual, as it says. And this includes reading, spelling, math, and more. Yes, and interactive adventures! Wow, I can't believe it. Interactive adventures, ladies and gentlemen. Just totally all I wanted from Spider-Man is some more interactive adventures. Wow, look at these games. Spider-Man on a Mission, Super Villain Showdown, Spidey's Web. And I'm going to be having just as much fun as that kid's having right there on the cover, I guess. Made in Hong Kong. So yes, and I'm going to play this on the Lightning McQueen player. Let's see if it works in here. Since this one has a remote, so let's go in here. I'm going to go in. Let's see if this is just going to work. Let's see if we can do this. Well, anyways, there's really not anything for me to say about Lilo and Stitch, to be honest with you guys, ladies and gentlemen.
Activity cards in the
here's
controller,
the thing about this movie.
and then we'll
Disney
be ready.
played it safe.
We'll be ready.
They
Put
did
one of these
basically
activity cards in the
what
controller.
you're supposed to do, I
Put
guess,
one
if
of
you
these
make a
activity
Disney
cards.
live-action remake, and
Put
I
one
don't
of
really
these
know what that
activity
is.
cards in the controller, and
I guess
then
meet expectations.
we'll be ready.
Forget it. What a waste. What a waste of time and resources. Alright, well, you know what? That's it. That's it for Trevin Reed, alright? No more Trevin Reed anymore. Well, it looks like I'm going to need one of these controllers to review this thing. Well, okay, well, that can't be a problem. I mean, it's got to be easier to find than the PBS Kids multimedia player. You ain't getting none, because I got Godsend on Bootleg DVD, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, this is a movie I remember when it first came out back in 2004, and I don't know, it always made an impression on me. Something about the marketing of this movie. And yes, I did pay $3.99 for this, just to show you guys how expensive this stuff can get sometimes. Yep, and you gotta have two PG-13s down there. You know, you just gotta know that's PG-13 here and PG-13 on the end. Alright, predictions. This is a 2004 movie, so I feel like it's gonna have that, 2004 style menu where, it's just going to have like that blue menu that we always see all the time. I always call it the Garfield menu. So that's my prediction of this bootleg going in here with Godsend. And if that's right, then it's definitely like a theater recorded bootleg. There you go, Feathers. You can sit over here and watch this madness. Yes! Look, I was right. I was right. Okay, I was right. I predicted it. Flawlessly, ladies and gentlemen. I told you I'm a magician. I need to start buying lottery tickets. I probably guess every single, number. I'll probably be rich at this point. I just don't know why I haven't done that yet. But anyways, we got the Lionsgate Films logo. So far I'm not hearing any audio. That or the audio is really quiet, or there is no audio in this opening scene. Insgate Films. Yes, Insgate Films, ladies and gentlemen. Well, Onsgate Films this time. I don't know if you guys could hear it, but you could hear like some creaking noises in the background. Again, I don't know if that's coming from the movie or that's just the person adjusting the camera, or what that may be. Egg Kinnear. Yeah, I like that actor, Egg Kinnear. Wow, Robert Denis.
Wonderful feeling this way.
Yeah, that totally isn't distracting, just having the VCR information, video camera information while you're watching this movie.
Then he says he.
71 minutes of film remaining, so you better use that film while you can. But as I'm going through this bootleg, ladies and gentlemen, it's a very quiet bootleg, or at least quiet on this device. Normally a lot of these bootlegs have that very like bombastic sound, but a lot of it is because a lot of the audio is built up through a lot of noise. Like you can hear this hiss in the background. So it really makes it hard to hear a lot of the dialogue. I mean, the visuals aren't too bad, but the audio is like really low. I mean, it's almost doable. I mean, after a while, you kind of get used to the, you know, the staticky sound. And that's how it ends, ladies and gentlemen. That bootleg was pretty unremarkable, but I imagine it's only going to get better from here. Even if they're low, or even if they're high, you just sort of meet everybody in the middle. Or at least for me, because, you know, I kind of went into the movie with mid-expectations, because I'm going to tell you something. I had some expectations for Lilo and Stitch, because the guy who directed it is Dean Fletcher Camp, who did Marshall the Shell with Shoes On. I think they wanted that title to be very hard to pronounce. And that was a cute movie, with Jenny Slate as like this talking shell, and it worked. You know, it was one of those things that like was an independent film based on a series of short films or a series of like web shorts or something like that. But it was very imaginative, and it had some really like impressive like cinematography and visuals for an independent production. So, you know, like considering that he directed that film, I was hoping that some of that could have translated to this, and some of it does. Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. The worst thing about this movie was the editing. The editing in this movie was horrible. It felt like it was just way too quick cut. There's way too many like B-roll shots that they just kind of throw in, like close-ups that are just very unnecessary. And, you know, like that kind of editing style worked okay in like that Minecraft movie. You know, like that Minecraft movie was very much like the same thing where, you know, it had a lot of that like fast-paced, really quick editing. And that was okay in Minecraft because that movie didn't really have a story or anything like that. That was just one of those things where it's like, okay, well, you know, like because they wanted to keep a certain pace to it. But this Lilo and Stitch movie just moves so fast. And the reason why I complain about the editing in this film is because in the original Lilo and Stitch, I find very low stimulating. Like the original Lilo and Stitch is a movie that doesn't really have a lot of story to it, like this one doesn't either. But also it was very low stimulating in the way of like, it sort of moves at a very slow pace. If you go back and watch the original Lilo and Stitch, even though it's 85 minutes, it's a very slow paced film. It takes a while for things to really kind of kick off, or for the things to really be as, you know, action oriented. So yeah, the editing was really my major complaint with the film. Another complaint I had with the film is that some of the CGI I thought was pretty inconsistent. You know, the CGI on Stitch I thought was pretty good, but then there was other CGI in the film that I thought was kind of wonky and didn't really look all that great. And you know, you could kind of forgive a film like this because it is mostly like a comedy. But also the Minecraft movie was a comedy, and I thought the special effects in that were a lot more like, you know, like goofier, and they worked, like even when the special effects in that movie were like bad, like the movie has a lot of green screen and noticeable green screen, you know, it still kind of was like effective at what they were trying to do. You know, like they didn't really take the movie seriously at all. And it's weird because I just compare this a lot to that Minecraft movie, but these are like two studio comedies, right? You know, you have like both of these films based on an IP, and they're both like studio films. And, you know, I'm not going to compare the two of them, you know, as far as which one's better or not. I will say this, Lilo and Stitch is probably one of the better Disney remakes I've seen. And I haven't seen a lot of them, but thinking back to, like, the Little Mermaid film that I saw, you know, which I didn't really like all that much. Even though I liked Hailey Bailey's performance in the film, I thought the film was flawed. And I really just despised the Lion King remake from 2019. I really kind of avoided a lot of these Disney remakes. I just think that they're really pointless and they don't add anything new to the source material at all. And they're always just like this blight excuse to get people to watch the older films. And,
I don't know. I don't really tend to seek them out that much. Lilo and Stitch I did, because Lilo and Stitch did get to my nostalgia. I saw Lilo and Stitch when I was a very little kid. Well, I was 5 years old when it came out to video, because we rented that from the library, that in Ice Age, when I was like 5 years old, and I loved it. Loved watching that film on VHS. And rewatching Lilo and Stitch as an adult, it's so wonderful to really re-experience that film again. So watching this new one, it just like, it, you know, definitely gave me warm memories of watching Lilo and Stitch. And like I said, I won't say it's like Disney's worst. There were a couple of things I liked in the film. I didn't find the film nearly as funny as I hoped it would have been. You know, but again, it plays it really safe. This is like a very safe Disney remake. It's almost like hard to really say that this film is like bad, pointless. Okay, sure. But there's a lot of pointless remakes. There's a lot of pointless sequels. I'll give an example. That Snow Day musical that came out on Paramount Plus like 2 years ago, that's like a great example of something that like never needed to exist, as evident to the fact that Paramount Plus took it off. Can't watch it. So, you know, and that's what's ironic about Lilo and Stitch. It's like, this was originally going to be a Disney Plus remake. Now, I don't know, like, if like the production values of this would have translated to Disney Plus, it probably would have. I'm interested to see how the film performs. I mean, I don't know if this film will make the $1 billion mark, but what's interesting about Lilo and Stitch for me is that Lilo and Stitch, I feel like, unlike a lot of Disney films, really was vindicated primarily through home video and cable, because I saw this a lot on like Disney Channel and stuff, and definitely that TV show and like, you know, the direct-to-video sequels and stuff, because Stitch is such a lovable character and very just wonderful, and I relate to Stitch in that way of like, it's just a character who's very much lost and amongst this world and sort of just doesn't understand who he really is, and even like his home planet doesn't really like him. You know, there's so much to love about that character, and it almost makes it hard for me to really dislike this movie because I love Stitch. He's like Toothless the Dragon. I mean, and that's ironic because Chris Sanders and Dean DeBlois, who directed the first one, went on to do How to Train Your Dragon. It's kind of crazy too because Chris Sanders went on to do like The Wild Robot. And, you know, it's wonderful when, like, you could see a version of yourself or an aspect of yourself or a trait of yourself represented in film. You know, and this movie isn't, like, for me it didn't capture that same imagination, but probably because I'm just not a little kid anymore and I've seen the Disney one, the original animated film. So, you know, like, of course it isn't going to encapsulate me the same way as it will a lot of other people out there. I'm interested to hear what younger people and people, you know, maybe a lot more kinder than me will say about Lilo and Stitch, the remake. As it stands, it's just like a perfectly serviceable, okay Disney film. It didn't make me mad. I didn't find it offensive or really like awful. It felt like it was competent, at least in its, you know, filmmaking. And, I mean, in spite of the editing was just the only thing I really just disliked. It was just so, like, unnecessary to edit, like, that crazily. And I understand, like, they really want to showcase the chaos and destruction, but I also thought that stuff, after a while, became really boring. Like, we understand that Stitch is a very destructive character, but there also just isn't, like, that, like, unlike the first one, there really just isn't that sense of, like, I don't know, like, the sense of, like, Stitch really understanding his moral, or even like Lilo for that matter. So to me, I feel like a lot of the heart kind of missed out on this one, at least for me. Maybe for a lot of people out there it probably worked, but I feel like a lot of that was missing too. So it's a flawed movie, but it's also in the shadow of a really wonderful traditional animated film that is Lilo and Stitch. Like I said, I have attachment to Lilo and Stitch because I saw it when I was very little. One of the first Disney movies I think I watched as a kid. And, you know, watching this remake, like I said, it's perfectly serviceable. You know, I'm not going to get mad. I will say that, like, I liked all the actors in it. I like that they incorporated some of the old cast members from the original animated film to the live action one. I really liked Amy Hill in the film. That was a really nice surprise to see her in something like this again, like a big budget like film, because she's done a lot of TV and mostly stays on the small screen, but she has a very wonderful career. So I always like seeing her. And, you know, overall, you know, I saw the movie and I'm probably not going to seek it out again. I may or may not seek it out when it comes out to Disney Plus. I don't know. Sometimes I have a tendency to do that. And, you know, as it stands, it's, like I said, it's just serviceable and fine. I know I'm repeating myself, but that's just really what it is. But this movie, ladies and gentlemen, did something to me that I really wasn't expecting. It made me want to seek out the Disney Snow White remake that came out earlier this year, because I skipped it intentionally. I'm going to talk about it because I'm interested to actually sit down and watch it to see if it's really just as bad as people are saying it is. Because people, like, this movie has like a 1.7 on IMDb, and it's gotten some of the most, like, horrid reviews from people. Until you got onto the Seven Dwarfs, and it just turns into Mars Needs Moms, which kind of just basically sums up how I feel about those characters in terms of what they did in the film. I mean, the movie's just empty. I mean, it's just as empty as the milk carton in Friday. It's just like one of those things where, like, I'm just sitting there watching this being like, there's just nothing I'm getting for watching this film, you know? I sat through the whole thing. I even sat through the credits. And like I said, there's just not much I can say about it. I mean, like, I'm not even going to say, like, this is even one of the worst films, because it's a remake of a film that I'm not even that crazy about. It's been years since I've seen the original Snow White. If I've actually seen it all the way through, I'm not even sure. I'm pretty sure I saw it, like, on ABC when I was very little, because I remember watching it on TV. But other than that, I don't know if I saw the whole thing or not, you know? If I did, then it probably didn't make that much of an impression on me as a kid either. So watching this movie was just kind of pointless, and I just don't understand why Disney even made the effort to spend like this much money on a film like this. I mean, does anybody, you know, my age or even older than me really want to see a remake of Snow White? You know? And the thing is, everybody's like, oh, it's all Rachel Zegler's fault. I'm like, no, this movie could have had a different Rachel and I still wouldn't have seen it. This movie could have had Rachel Bloom and I still wouldn't have seen it, or Rachel Sennett and I still wouldn't have seen it. All right? Now, if it had Rachel McAdams, maybe, because I'm a Rachel McAdams simp, but that's a different story. There's actually a lot to that. Yeah, whatever. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Let's just move on to something else. Last but not least, I saw Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. And I want to be honest, I enjoyed the film. I thought it was flawed. And the flaws, you know, the more you think about them, kind of severe. A lot of what I enjoyed about the film. At its core, and basically to sum it up, I thought the film was very entertaining. It was well made. It had good action. I mean, that's basically the strong suit of all these movies, is that they all have really good action. My biggest problem with this movie is I just really didn't like how the other characters are utilized. You know, like Ving Rhames and Simon Pegg, Pom Klementieff. I just felt like they didn't get a lot to do in this movie. And I really didn't like what they did to Ving Rhames' character at all in this movie. I thought it was very, it just really underestimated the whole film for me and the whole franchise. I just really didn't care for that. The story in this one is actually really silly. It reminded me a lot of that Fast and the Furious movie, where it's just like, it honestly, or not Fast and the Furious, but like Fast and Furious 10, where it just felt like this one was just really like, super silly in terms of the story. I mean, basically, like the villain of the movie basically is an AI. That's it. And it also felt like this franchise is kind of just at that point where they're kind of running out of, like, I don't know, like fresh, like it really just doesn't feel fresh anymore. You know, by the time you get to like the last action set piece, it's still really entertaining, but it feels like you just kind of have been there, done that, you know? And the reason why I complain a lot about the, you know, characters not getting much to do is, like, you know, you saw like Dead Reckoning, the last one, and I feel like they did a lot more in that.
Arthur wishes you the best holiday season you could ever imagine.
Haley Atwell's character is the only one that does really a lot more in this film, and I liked her stuff. She was good in the last movie. So seeing this was just kind of like, okay, well, they gave her more to do, but why didn't they do a lot more with Pom Klementieff? I just don't know. And I know that's like kind of annoying to complain about that, but like Pom Klementieff in the last one did a lot more stuff. Like, she did some action. I wanted to see more of that, and you only see a little bit of that, you know? Also, Katie O'Brien's in the movie, who you probably remember from Love Lies Bleeding. She doesn't get much to do in this film either. I'm actually just really sick of seeing her in stuff where she doesn't get much to do, aka Twisters. Just, you know, I feel like this one just felt like it was missing a certain element. And there was something very, I don't know what it was, but this movie tonally just felt kind of cynical to me. Like, it felt like it just didn't really have like a lot of heart to it. It felt like a lot of this movie was just Tom Cruise really wanting to do more cool stuff. And basically at the end of the day. And I just felt like this one as a two-parter, which initially was, before they changed the title, I didn't really care much for the first hour where they spent a lot of time having like just this massive exposition. This movie cost $400 million, and I kind of failed to see how this movie cost that much, unless if they ended up shooting a location for a lot of this film, which I'm pretty sure is the case for a lot of it, because they don't use like a lot of like CGI special effects, or if they do, then at least they blend in very well. So at least you do see some of the money on screen, but I'm like, $400 million, that's like an outrageous a lot for a movie like this. Whether or not it's going to make it back, who knows? Yeah, I mean, overall, I enjoyed the film, but it wasn't my favorite of the Mission Impossible films. I can't help but say that I was a little let down by this one, especially because I did like Dead Reckoning. You know, and I just also didn't like the villain in this one that much either. I didn't think the villain was all that engaging. I mean, like, I've liked some of the previous villains, you know, Henry Cavill in Fallout, Douglas Scott in the second one, you know, Philip Seymour Hoffman in the third one. I like those villains a lot more. Like, the villain I didn't think was all that engaging in this one. I thought the villain was kind of like forgettable. Yeah, I don't know. I felt like this one just lacked, like I said, it just lacked a certain freshness. It just feels like this franchise is just kind of repeating itself to, you know, to ad nauseum. I kind of hate using that term because I overuse that term a lot. But see, that's the thing. I mean, it just feels like we're just here again doing this again. You know, it's not really, like I said, the franchise isn't evolving. You know, I mean, like I said, it's not a bad movie. It's not terrible. It's not unwatchable. It is entertaining. But I just feel like it should have been a lot stronger. Especially because, like I said, if it's saying, if they're marketing this as the last Mission Impossible, then it really needs to pack a bigger punch for it to be the last Mission Impossible. Because I just feel like even at the end of the day, there's still a lot to be desired for it. And it feels like they honestly wanted to, you know, tie it that way. Because let's see if this movie makes like a lot of money, and if it does, then maybe they'll do another one. Who knows? You know, if they do another one, I hope they, you know, do something really fresh. This is the fourth one in the series, directed by Christopher McQuarrie. Maybe they can hire, like, I don't want to say hire like a new director, but like just add something a little bit more. I don't know, just keep it fresh. It just feels like the franchise is, like I said, formulaic at this point. And I know that sounds kind of stupid to say that about this, but I don't know. Look at it this way. John Wick Chapter 4, that came out 2 years ago, is a movie I've only seen once in the theater, but it left a big impression on me. I really liked what they did with John Wick as far as like the action set pieces. They had like that great action set piece with its overhead. Like, I really like that scene with the stairs. But with John Wick 4, they did a lot of like really inventive stuff and a lot of things I really liked. And you don't get a lot of that with this Mission Impossible film. It's just a lot of, like I said, just the same formulaic stuff that they've done before. I'm going to just talk about some stuff that, you know, really caught my eye. Like Bring Her Back, which is done by the same people that gave us Talk to Me. Judging from early reviews, this is also another winner, so I can't wait to look forward to this one. Ballerina, which is the John Wick spinoff with Ana de Armas, which I'm going to be honest, I'm not really looking forward to. I just don't see the need of them really needing to do a John Wick spinoff. I feel like Lionsgate is just desperate to really try anything, and honestly, it's not really working out for Lionsgate at all. That Wes Anderson one also comes out, I think, next week. I'm looking forward to that one slightly. I know I kind of talked a lot of shit about Asteroid City. I feel like I've kind of calmed down on that movie quite a bit since I last talked about it. You know, I'm starting to kind of like, I feel like I have a little bit more appreciation, or I would have appreciation for it if I saw it again, maybe. Because I'll be honest, when I saw it in the theater, I kind of just felt like it was, what do you call it? Like, just really like, kind of just up its own, if you could say, if I were to use a term. And then like you have like Materialist, which is the Celine Song film coming out. I don't know if I'm looking forward to that one exactly. It, you know, the marketing of that one seems like it's because it's A24, I can't tell if the marketing is like lying or deceiving us from believing that this film is a lot more better than it is. or if this is just one of those things that's just like not really that great. The reason why I bring up Celine Song is because she did Past Lives, which is a movie I really, really liked. So I really hope that this at least, that Celine Song's contributions, or that Celine Song can contribute that same effort that she did in the film Past Lives into this film. So we'll see how that turns out. Speaking of seeing how it turns out, the How to Train Your Dragon remake, which I keep having anxiety about, I feel like in some reality, this movie could be good, and I'm being told from at least early reviews that it's supposed to be pretty good, but I'm not buying that early review shit for 2 seconds, because a lot of times when people are like, oh, it's early reviews and stuff, like, they're always making a big deal about it, and really in hindsight, except for the fact that I think the title is pretty much a lie, because it's less a Mario Galaxy film, and it's more like a Bowser's Fury movie. Like, it felt more like it should have just been titled, you know, Super Mario Brothers 2 Bowser's Fury, and not Super Mario Galaxy, because the Super Mario Galaxy games are very expansive, and that could have just made a whole movie on its own. But you don't spend a lot of time in the galaxy. You get like this great scene where they're in this like casino galaxy, and that scene was incredible. Like, it had like this stunning animation. It made me want to go to Vegas. It's one of those things like Rayman, where it's like, I actually want to go to Vegas after watching this film. Because of how good that like animation was, and the set piece they have is really, really good. But I also do bring up the fact that there wasn't a lot of Super Mario Galaxy, because that's what this film is really being sold on. And really, that's what hurts the film as far as it being a product, because like it really underestimates the, you know, world and the amount of things they could have done with Mario Galaxy. I mean, there are things they do with it, but there's mostly just like cameos from, like, you know, the Bee Queen. I forget that character's name. And that's the thing about it. I mean, you don't even, like, the funny thing about it is, like, it's not that the characters are unlikable, it's just the characters are very likable. So it's like, you don't really think about the characters in that way. Even the villains are likable. I mean, Bowser Jr. is supposed to be obnoxious, but that's sort of the joke of Bowser Jr. is that he is an obnoxious villain. I did like Benny Safdie's vocal performance, and I liked Brie Larson's vocal performance, but they don't do really anything with Rosalina. And they kind of only have her here just so that we could have the excuse to have Peach in it, and I liked seeing more of Peach in the film. You know, but to be honest, I kind of knew exactly what the film was going to be as soon as I saw it. It's kind of like with that last SpongeBob that came out, Search for SquarePants, where I'm like, I know exactly what this is going to be. There's no reason to get super excited for it, and there's no reason to get super mad about it, because when it's all over, you know, it's either just have a good time or don't have a good time. You know what? I did have a good time. Even though this movie is literally a neuralizer. Okay, that's what this movie is. It is literally the neuralizer from Men in Black. That's all this movie is, because as I was watching this film, I just kept forgetting, like, swoops of it. Like, I felt like I had deja vu or something, where it's just like, well, what the hell just happened? Like, you know what I mean? And it doesn't, like, and that is really the worst part about this movie, compared to the first one, is that the first movie, one of the things that really bring up when I talked about the first film, or one of the things that made me really love it, was how they utilized the Rube Goldberg structure of Super Mario Brothers, and that cohesion still made it very easy to follow, because even though the story is very basic, like, oh, well, Mario has to save Luigi, you still, like, they utilized a lot of that, like, Rube Goldberg cohesion in that way of, okay, well, how is Mario going to find Luigi? It's like, okay, well, he has to, you know, fight Donkey Kong, and then he has to enter a race, and they utilized elements from both Smash Brothers and Mario Kart very well into the story, which worked and made the film, you know, very approachable. This movie doesn't do that. This movie just says, you know what, it's just going to be action, set piece action, and it does have, like, construction to it, and it does have, like I said, a very basic story, but at the same time, it's so, like, there's just so many subplots in it. They just keep throwing characters and storylines and such, and most of them get tied up, but they're very loose-ended, because nothing really matters at the end of it. I mean, you could say it's nihilism. It might be positive nihilism, if anything, and I'll take that as a compliment. I'd rather positive nihilism. But, you know, as a movie, it's just so, like, relentless. It's mostly just action. Like, it's mostly just action, and it's not, like, mean-spirited or, like, something I really thought was, like, offensive. It's like, you know, if you like Super Mario enough, or if you're just a big fan of the games like I am, then you'll definitely have a good time with it. I mean, I don't have anything really mean to say
obviously, I mean, I know what it is, but here's the thing. I mean, like, I'm not. This is why I'm not a screw the critics kind of person, because even though I've had like in the last couple of years, I've kind of lost a lot of respect for film critics. It was mainly because of the movie Elemental, because it ruined my life, and I felt like a lot of people threw that movie under the bus and didn't give that film any credit. But regardless, I'm not a screw the critics kind of person. So when I see a lot of the negative reviews in this film, it kind of makes sense because, yeah, like, there is no story, and it is just a very basic film. You know, some people are chalking it up to a term that I feel like is overused, slop, and I think that kind of also underestimates the film, because one of the things I will say, that a lot of critics dismiss, is a lot of critics always bring up, oh, well, it's just like, you know, nostalgia bait. And I disagree with that. I think, like, by having characters like Star Fox and, like, having, like, references to other Nintendo games doesn't make it a nostalgia bait, because that makes sense in the context of this film, and being that this is a Nintendo property that you can utilize Nintendo characters. The last movie did that with Donkey Kong, and Donkey Kong's not in this film. But I'm okay with them utilizing, you know, Nintendo characters and Nintendo properties in the Super Mario film. You know, who knows if we'll ever get a Star Fox film, or who knows if we'll ever get, like, you know, even like a third Mario movie. I mean, that's the thing about it. Like, I don't know how much of this is blamely on Nintendo and Illumination as far as what they want to do. Because I felt like the movie was kind of ambiguous in areas where it's like they really wanted to do a lot of stuff with it, and then either, like, they just didn't have a good screenplay, or it was just one of those things where it's just like, well, you know, we just have to make it like as fast-paced and as relentless as the last one, which I think also kind of severs it. But the thing is, like, you play those Super Mario games, and story-wise, they're always kind of the same. The real fun to be had with, like, and if this movie's modeled after the 3D games, the real fun to be had after, like, with, like, the 3D games is really just built around exploring the levels and really, like, finding objects and finding coins in order for you to advance, collecting stars. You know, I'm thinking, you know, Super Mario Odyssey, Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, those kind of games. And, you know, I don't know exactly in any which way could they have approached that, you know? Because, like I said, the 3D Mario games are, like, very open-ended in a lot of ways, because it's not always like, okay, well, you, like, have to get this one gold star to do this task. Like, sometimes you'll be doing, like, one task, and then you'll end up doing another task. I hope this is, like, logical to some degree, what I'm trying to say. You know, and there are other elements I really liked. I really liked the Yoshi's Island reference in the film. I thought that was really funny. And I liked all of the action set pieces. I mean, I saw this in IMAX. The animation is just is incredibly gorgeous. I mean, it is just a luscious looking film with just great colors and, you know, really amazing set pieces as far as how they utilize the animation. I think Illumination really has definitely gone up in their animation department. I wish they would definitely go up in their story department, but, you know, I feel like as far as their visuals are concerned, they've really have come a long way since the first Despicable Me. And I think that's really impressive on its own, as I really liked all the animation. I liked all that stuff, and I liked how all the action set pieces did utilize the Rube Goldberg construction in that way of, like, okay, well, one thing has to lead to another thing, and, you know, that stuff was really, like, impressive. I really like the action set piece where, like, they're getting lifted up and they're in that castle, and then the castle crashes, and then they're all falling off of the castle. You know, there's a lot of falls in this film, by the way. A lot of characters falling down, which I actually liked. It's like, okay, that's familiar with the game. So, and, you know, they did stay away from pop music in this one, even though they do have a Biggie Smalls song in it, which is weird because you see written by Shane Combs in the credits, which I thought was the weirdest freaking thing in the entire world for this Super Mario movie. That's like the worst thing about it, if anything. You know, but I just, like, overall, it was just so hard to talk about because I honestly feel like I've either forgotten about a lot of this film, and, like, I could chalk it up to, like, candy. You know, this movie is candy. It's like bubble gum. It's like you eat it, and then, you know, you chew it, and then when it runs out of flavor, you spit it out and get a new one. And it basically just tastes the same, and basically it's just a big old cycle. It's like a big old circle, you know? And some people are mad about the bagel, you know? Some people see the bagel as, like, you know, this big old, like, void of emptiness where nothing matters, you know? That's just what it is, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't know. I liked it. I'm sorry. I did. Okay, I'm sorry to all the film critics out there and all the YouTube people and the contrarians that are, probably, looking down on this film and say that this film is going to be like the worst film of the year. I feel like it's a lot like that Minecraft movie. But even like the Minecraft movie, like as a person who doesn't play Minecraft, I just thought that was a really funny movie. Just a funny family film. And I'll say this, is that third Sonic the Hedgehog I think is a better film than this, because Sonic the Hedgehog 3, that film does have a lot of subplots, but the subplots have a lot of heart in them. And, it really did, for me as a person who's not like the most, enthusiastic about Sonic the Hedgehog, it did actually get me like somewhat excited and did make me want to care about those characters. I really liked what they did with Shadow. I really liked what they did with that character, because I was afraid like when that character was going to be introduced, it's going to be like really kind of cheesy and kiddie. But no, they do some really like wholesome things with that. And the Super Mario movie, it doesn't really go in that direction at all. And they could have done something a lot more heartfelt. I feel like Illumination always seems to scale back in some of that department. It's just like they don't want to go the heartfelt route. They want to, I don't know, just keep throwing in more comedy. And again, I don't know if that's the fault of Illumination. Maybe it is the fault of Nintendo. I feel like Nintendo is very, is very picky with their IPs and how people use them and how people utilize them. So maybe that's why we got the movie, what we got. Couldn't have been better, yes, but I still had a good time seeing it in the theater. Alright, I did. I thought it was fun and colorful and was vibrant. And I'm not like one of those people who like need perfection in every movie. I'm just one of those. Okay, so now it's a little later in the day. I'm looking at the box office of this sucker just because I'm 100% curious. Already made $372 million worldwide on its opening weekend, and that number will go up and up as the Easter totals come in, so it'll probably make a good old $500 million, I predict, on its opening weekend. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Super Mario the movie, Super Mario Galaxy, a bunch of money. I mean, the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, like, I, as an adult, really just am not really gonna try on something like this. Because I like Super Mario and I had a good time. I'm pretty sure there's people out there who want something more from this. And to be fair, deservedly so. Maybe those who really did like the first one, they're into one. But I'm just not one of those people. I'm sorry if this review is kind of lazy or whatever, but to be honest, like, it takes a lot for me to really get mad at a movie these days. And I'm trying to harness that energy and not get mad at something like this. I'll give you a great example of why something like this is making noise, because I feel like Universal, who put this film out in the whole, has basically strategically been making like sort of like middle of the road sequels intentionally. Jurassic World Rebirth was a movie I pretty much was going to do a review on, but I had absolutely nothing to say about it because I didn't hate it, and I'll definitely tell you it is better than the last one, Dominion, and that's only because like I tried rewatching Dominion and I fell asleep somewhere in it, in the like 40 Sony Pictures movie that isn't Men in Black or Bad Boys, but it's it's 7 pounds. It has Rosario Dawson and Woody Harrelson. We got these bootlegs, which at some point we'll go over. Oh wow, look at all these bootlegs. Codename the Cleaner, Larry the Cable Guy, Semi-Pro. Wow, just so many of them. Well, we have Earth on bootleg DVD. I don't know if this is actually shot in the theater. I assume that this is like a DVD rip. I mean, it has to be weird if like you were to shoot like a documentary on a bootleg DVD, but that does happen. I mean, they'll do anything on bootleg DVDs. So let's see. It's taking a while to load. This one's taking a while to load. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this one is obviously a DVD rip. I mean, what else would it be, right? What else would it be? It would just be a DVD rip. Well, anyways, you guys can watch those previews for Disney's Earth. I assume that this has Disney Fast Play on it. I mean, it would only have to have Disney Fast Play on it, right?
Man, it still takes a while to load bootlegs, this PBS Kids DVD player. Well, it doesn't look like this has fast play on it, so one of you have to get up and press play or something like that. Man, I'm just running out of material. You know what I'm gonna do? Every bootleg I take out, but see, this is what's hard, is because none of these have like, what do you call it? Like anything to tell you what the disc is. I'm running out of words, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just running out of words. So it's easy to confuse which disc is which. And so far, I haven't found any that are the wrong disc. Well, you can't have a bootleg DVD collection without Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry and the Marriage Counselor. Always have to have Tyler Perry. That's the essentials. Tyler Perry. There's probably some Steven Seagal in here somewhere, but I just haven't found it. Wow, Sisterhood of Traveling Pants. Wow. It's funny, like, going back and watching these movies, because all these actors, like, they all just went on to do, like, she has, like, an Oscar nomination, and, like, she's Rory Gilmore, and she's Blake Lively in that Colleen Hoover movie. You know, I gotta tell you, that new Colleen Hoover movie coming out looks horrible, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. You know, I don't mean to be like, maybe that movie is actually really good when it comes out, but that trailer did not sell me at all. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead. I just want to put this in and see if we get this one. I'm just curious, or did they actually shoot this one in the theater? Let's see what they did. Is there a disc on this one? It's taking a while to load. Uh-oh. I don't think there's a disc on this one. Oh no, it just took forever to load. It just took forever to load this DVD. Wow.
Like I'm proud of it, I'm black
Well,
and
you can
beautiful.
go to special. Well, you can't go to special features. You cannot go to special features on this one, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, that's a shame.
Like I'm proud
That is
of
a
it, I'm
big
black and
shame.
beautiful.
And I do have to say, like, whoever put all these together had these all decently organized. And then there's Paul, which was that, see, I always pretend that this was part of the Cornuda trilogy. I always like to pretend that. This one, I think, is a real DVD. Wow. And it actually is in good condition. A real DVD in here of 1999's True Crime with Clint Eastwood. That's awesome. Obviously, this person liked Clint Eastwood, so that's what we're going to give you guys, is some Clint Eastwood, just for a little bit. Because again, there's so many